Everybody needs hope. I don't know about you, but I can find things discouraging that have the power, if I let them, to steal my hope. And we need real hope, hope that comes from God. I call it holy hope. We need that kind of hope that's real and substantial, that is not just a band-aid or a distraction to make us feel good so we can get through this hopeless situation that we're living in. And we need hope on several levels. There's personal level, and then there's political levels and cultural levels, but also in the church. We can get discouraged about how things are being handled in the church and what's happening in this time in history, and allow those worries to steal our hope. But you can have hope. You should have hope. The Lord wants you to have it. And I'm going to give you some practical tools that really, really, really work at allowing His hope to infuse your life and grow in you. And then, of course, give joy and peace and everything else that goes with it. So there's something that undergirds hope that is necessary so that when God gives us this virtue, and it is a gift from God, and He'll give it to you if you ask for it, that when He gives it to you, you can receive it and it can grow in you. And that foundation, that undergirding, is trust. And so we go to the Holy Family. Well, first of all, God the Father, He trusted a human being. He reversed the roles. He trusted Mary with His Son in the most vulnerable situation. Anyway, so there's this trust, and He leads with trust as a model. Mary then trusts the Lord. She wants to know how He's going to do it. It seems impossible, but she trusts Him. And then we get to Joseph. Well, she trusts Joseph. Even though at first it looks like, he's going to put her away, like it's not going to work. She still trusts Joseph because God gave her Joseph. And Joseph, in turn, trusts God. When the messages come to him in a dream, he trusts. And he trusts Mary, and he doesn't fear to take her as his wife. And when the angel says, get up and go to Egypt, he gets up and goes right away. He is trusting the Lord. So there is a lot of trust modeled. And that trust is modeled in the Holy Family, in God Himself, and it brings the greatest hope to humankind ever. So that's kind of the macro, the big picture thing about hope. There's so many situations that make us anxious and make us lose hope. So I want to give you some tools for personal hope, personal holy hope restoration. And then we'll get on to some signs. The Lord is giving signs that He is really working. So we're going to get through the personal part. Stay tuned for the signs, because these are reported, they're vetted and verified, and we just don't always know about them. Remember that trust is foundational to hope? Well, there is a novena, and it's called the Surrender Novena. I have a hard copy of it, but there's several hard copies of it, and you can find it by doing a search on the internet. And this novena was written by a man who was a spiritual director for Padre Pio for a short time. I mean, the man is very, very holy. And his name is Servant of God, Don Dolindo Rotolo. And he died in 1970, so it's pretty current. But he writes this novena. It's a meditation for 9 days, so 9 meditations. Each one is written in the first person of Jesus, as if Jesus is speaking directly to you. This is a powerful way to receive Jesus's hope and be able to trust Him. These are awesome. And then each day when you have read and meditated on the meditation given, then you respond by saying, "Oh Jesus, I surrender myself to you, take care of everything." And you pray that sentence 10 times. "Oh Jesus, I surrender myself to you, take care of everything." Now I am here to tell you, this is a game changer It's a game changer. The surrender novena. I don't know of a single person who has done it who doesn't rave about it and recommend it to others, that it made a big, substantial difference in the quality of their life. So I want you to know that's kind of at the top of my list as a recommendation. Another practical thing is the Litany of Trust. And I believe it was composed by the Sisters of Life out of New York. They're a growing order. It's amazing. They're wonderful. So you can also Google that, Litany of Trust. And in doing the Litany of Trust, it helps you recognize those areas that maybe you didn't know you weren't allowing Jesus into, that you weren't giving him and trusting him with. So it's illuminating, and it'll help you work in your soul, and you pray it. And if you ask Jesus for trust in these areas, he will give it to you. There might be a healing you need to go through, a process. Sometimes there's ruminations. There's a process that our soul and our spirit has to go through. Sometimes it's instant. I highly recommend the Litany of Trust. Okay, so when I was going through a really, really hard time, a time where I felt rejected and hopeless. I didn't know what to do. It was just hard. One of the hardest times in my life that lasted several months. I came across this little book. And this little book is Trustful Surrender to Divine Providence. I am telling you this, I've read it 5 times. And I bought a bunch of copies for all my friends, and my husband took my copy. I had to get myself another copy. Amazing little book. It's written by Father Jean-Baptiste Saint-Jure. I'm sure I didn't say that right. S.J. And Saint Claude de Colombier, and also S.J., Jesuit. Wonderful book. A little archaic in the language, but it's like a paradigm shift. We get this sense that God is sovereign no matter what's happening in our life. And that gives us an ability to surrender, because it's the best place to put our trust in God. Anyway, the way these are presented, 2 different authors, it's just a great book, and don't rush through it. It's like a lifeline for me. So if you need a lifeline, something's hit you really hard, a great loss, or some big life-changing thing that you didn't expect, you didn't see coming, this is your book. Well, it's a book for everybody. And next, I want to bring to you a reminder about the Divine Mercy devotion. One thing that Jesus told Faustina is that in the image, in the Divine Mercy image, he wanted the words, Jesus, I trust in you, at the bottom. And the whole devotion is centered around trusting Jesus to access his mercy. He told Faustina a couple things that I thought were remarkable. So he said that that sin didn't wound his heart the way a lack of trust does. So he wants us to trust him, and we have every reason to. He also said that her total trust in him gave her incomprehensible rights over his heart. Her total trust in him gave her incomprehensible rights over his heart. Now, let's get clear about one thing. Trust is not presumption. Trust, when you trust someone, you do what they say. Take up your cross and follow me. Or if someone you trust says, get out of the building quick, you don't ask a question. You trust them and you get out of the building. You don't know why, you'll find out later. When you trust someone, you do what they say. Presumption, on the other hand, which masks itself as trust often, really uses people. It takes people for granted. Presumption is, doesn't matter if I nurture my relationship with Jesus. Doesn't matter what I do. He's going to save me. Okay, that's presumption, and it's a sin. We don't want to be presumptuous, because presumption uses people. In relationships, in marriages and everything else, in friendships, presumption uses people. Trust, on the other hand, is a different story, and there's power in trust. If being a son or a daughter of complete trust gives us incomprehensible rights over the heart of Jesus. It doesn't mean he's our puppet and we can just use him. But what it does mean is this: the divine mercy devotion is for multiple things, but it is really for the salvation of souls. Especially you are to pray the divine mercy when people are dying. Jesus taught Faustina that. So it's to help people receive his mercy at that last moment. So when we have incomprehensible rights over his heart, it really is for the conversion of sinners. He told her the best prayer, the one heard the most by his heart, is for conversion. And so in our trust, we are wanting what he wants in his heart. It's a great combination. So those are practical tools that I am absolutely convinced that if you employ them with an open heart to receive God's trust, to receive his mercy, that you will find hope. And it will be a game changer in how you see the world and how you move through your life. It will really help you. For the second part of this, and I don't want you to miss the second part. So it will be posted next week, and it involves the signs, the reported, vetted, verifiable signs of God working in our world today. So there's a lot of hope to give you hope. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, we love you.